The first two books, I really understood where he was coming from, just in a very human aspect. I mean, I never saw him as a vampire or anything. I mean, you know, I completely understood the story of like when you fall in love with someone, it almost, I mean, it's a fairly typical young male reaction, but you feel like you're getting weaker. Like the more you love someone, you put them on a pedestal, and then you eventually, and if you put them on too much of a pedestal, you destroy your own self-confidence. And I thought that was sort of what his story was about. But as it gets further on in the series, like, it's funny because, you know, Stephanie's trying to write a perfect guy, I guess, and you know, the perfect guy doesn't seem, you know, in theory doesn't get into fights and doesn't, you know, has control over himself the entire time. But when it gets later on in the series, I mean, I changed it a little bit from the book in this one because I think at a certain point it's not perfect to avoid confrontation. I mean, you want to sometimes, you know, there's this whole story with Jacob. You know, Edward has more of a fight with him because in the book he sort of just accepts it. He's like, it's okay, he doesn't know what he's doing. I know everything. But sometimes, just for the sake of your girlfriend or your wife, like, you should step in. Like, you've got to act like a crazy, like, you know, you've got to go crazy sometimes for the, you know, even if your girlfriend was like, don't do it, like, they actually want you to do it. They want you to punch people in the face sometimes. Like, and so that kind of, I kind of tried to make him a little bit more like that. It kind of frustrated me a little bit, his passivity. But I get where it's coming from. And then I just changed it. Sorry.
I mean, I've always been a really big fan of Audrey Hepburn, I think. But I think I'm more a fan of her as a whole. I mean, her acting style I really loved, and I thought she was extremely charismatic and just beautiful. But I'm a very big fan of kind of what she stood for and you know, her charity work and kind of her as a whole person. I guess, I don't know, Kate Blanchett is one that I'm a really big fan of. She's a big inspiration to me because I think she just kind of encompasses everything, and she is able to play this very strong female character and also the vulnerability and everything I've seen her do. She just, I feel like you love what she does and who she is, even if she's supposed to be an unlikable character. And sometimes I think that's hard to do, so she's probably it.
I got fairly like typical people who, I don't know if they influence me in any way. I like, there are people who kind of made me have more, I mean, I like actors who portray things which I want to be like in my real life. It's not necessarily that I want to act like them. I mean, that's kind of why I got interested in acting in the first place, because you'd watch movies with Jack Nicholson or like Jean-Paul Belmondo, people like that, and you kind of, by taking aspects of their performances and putting them into your real life, it made you more confident and it made you feel cooler or whatever, even though you're just copying people. But yeah, I like kind of iconoclastic people. That's another terrible answer.
That's not a terrible answer.
Great. Great. Thank you so much.
I don't even know what iconoclastic means.
Wait for the microphone.
For me, it was, well, the actual act of filming it was freezing, and that wasn't very fun. But besides that, it was, I think it was absolutely beautiful. I think everyone did a really good job at putting it together and making it kind of this magical, beautiful experience. And I will say, it was amazing, but it was kind of strange because even though you are acting, I think, you know, it is your job to make it as real as possible. And so whenever you become this close to the cast around you, it's kind of odd seeing one of your good friends and another one of your good friends walk down an aisle together, even though you know that it's a film. And it affects you in a way that you didn't expect it to. I think we're all kind of sitting there going, wow, we didn't expect to feel this way. But I think that's a very good sign.
It was weird as well because it's a real priest. So essentially me and Kristen are married now. Because we did the exact same thing as a wedding. So like, and we just didn't have a civil union or whatever. We it's not by law, but in the eyes of the church, we're actually married.
Thank you so much.
That's true. That's actually true.
I kept getting her name
Right,
wrong.
and Rick is